Little Lily was running toward Elvis with her flowers when security caught her and she started crying. When Elvis saw her at that moment, leaving the stage to come to her made that night unforgettable. The MGM Grand Las Vegas stood as a temple of entertainment in the desert, its massive showroom capable of holding 18,000 guests who had come from around the world to witness Elvis Presley perform in his legendary Las Vegas residency. On this particular evening in July 1976, the venue sparkled with anticipation as fans filled every seat, creating an electric atmosphere that seemed to vibrate through the very walls of the casino resort. The stage setup for Elvis's shows at the MGM Grand was elaborate and impressive, featuring multiple levels, sophisticated lighting systems, and state-of-the-art sound equipment that could deliver his powerful voice to every corner of the massive venue. The production represented the pinnacle of Las Vegas entertainment, combining theatrical spectacle with musical excellence in a way that had become Elvis's trademark. Among the thousands of eager fans settling into their seats that evening was the Martinez family from Phoenix, Arizona. Roberto Martinez, a hardworking mechanic, had saved for months to afford tickets for himself, his wife Carmen, and their 7-year-old daughter Lily. This trip represented a significant financial sacrifice for the family, but Roberto was determined to show his daughter the performer who had provided the soundtrack to his own youth and courtship of Carmen. Lily Martinez was a bright, spirited child with an infectious smile and a natural curiosity about the world around her. She had been listening to Elvis's music for as long as she could remember, thanks to her father's extensive record collection, and she had developed a deep appreciation for his voice and his songs. However, seeing Elvis perform live was an entirely new experience that filled her with excitement and wonder. Earlier that day, while the family was exploring the Las Vegas Strip, Lily had been captivated by the beautiful flower gardens outside one of the hotels. The carefully manicured displays of roses, daisies, and other colorful blooms had caught her attention, and she had spent several minutes admiring their beauty and fragrance. In her innocent 7-year-old mind, an idea had formed that would later create one of the most touching moments in Elvis concert history. "Mama," Lily had said to Carmen while they were walking through the gardens, "Elvis must love flowers too. Everyone loves flowers." Her observation was delivered with the simple logic that children possess, but it planted a seed of an idea that would grow throughout the day. Carmen had smiled at her daughter's comment, not thinking much of it at the time. However, Lily's young mind was already working on a plan that she believed would bring joy to both herself and her musical hero. The idea of giving Elvis a gift that represented beauty and happiness seemed perfectly reasonable to a child who saw the world through the lens of unconditional love and generosity. The morning of the concert found the Martinez family exploring more of Las Vegas, taking in the sights and sounds of the entertainment capital while building anticipation for the evening's main event. Lily was particularly excited, chattering constantly about Elvis and asking her parents countless questions about what the concert would be like. During their morning walk, the family passed by a small park area where wildflowers grew in natural clusters along the pathways. Lily was immediately drawn to the simple beauty of these unpretentious blooms, white daisies, yellow dandelions, and small purple flowers whose names she didn't know but whose cheerful appearance captured her imagination. Without saying anything to her parents, who were engaged in conversation about the day's plans, Lily quietly picked a small bouquet of the wildflowers. She was careful to select the prettiest ones, creating a modest but colorful arrangement that she clutched carefully in her small hands. Her parents, when they noticed what she had done, assumed she simply enjoyed the flowers and thought nothing more of her actions. "Those are very pretty, mija," Carmen said, using the Spanish endearment that always made Lily feel special and loved. "Are they for me?" But Lily shook her head with a mysterious smile that suggested she had other plans for her small bouquet. "They're for someone special," Lily replied, her voice carrying the secretive excitement that children possess when they're planning a surprise. Roberto and Carmen exchanged glances, assuming that Lily planned to give the flowers to her grandmother when they returned home, or perhaps to leave them in their hotel room as decoration. Throughout the rest of the day, Lily carefully protected her small bouquet, making sure the flowers stayed fresh and pretty. She asked for a small cup of water at lunch to keep the stems hydrated, and she positioned them carefully in the hotel room to ensure they wouldn't be damaged before the evening's concert. As the family prepared for the show, Lily's excitement reached new heights. She carefully selected her favorite dress, a simple but pretty blue outfit that her grandmother had made for her, and she spent extra time making sure her hair was neatly brushed and styled. Most importantly, she wrapped her bouquet in a damp paper towel to keep it fresh and tucked it carefully into a small purse that Carmen had given her for special occasions. When the Martinez family arrived at the MGM Grand that evening, the scale and grandeur of the venue impressed even Roberto, who had attended concerts before but never in such an elaborate setting. The casino floor was bustling with activity, and the approaches to the showroom were crowded with well-dressed fans who shared the family's excitement about seeing Elvis perform. Lily walked between her parents, holding their hands and gazing around in wonder at the opulent surroundings. The crystal chandeliers, plush carpeting, and elegant decor created an atmosphere of luxury that was unlike anything she had experienced before. However, her primary focus remained on the small purse she carried, which contained her carefully preserved bouquet intended for Elvis. Their seats were located in the lower level of the venue, relatively close to the stage thanks to Roberto's willingness to spend extra money for better tickets. As they settled into their places, Lily could see the stage clearly and began to understand the magnitude of the production she was about to witness. The elaborate lighting systems, the sophisticated sound equipment, and the sheer size of the performance area all contributed to her growing excitement. As the venue continued to fill with concert-goers, Lily observed the diverse crowd of Elvis fans who had gathered for the show. She saw elderly couples who had been following Elvis since his early career, middle-aged fans who had grown up with his music, and young people who were discovering his artistry for the first time. The common thread that united all these different people was their shared love for Elvis and their anticipation of experiencing his live performance. During the wait for the show to begin, Lily carefully removed her bouquet from her purse and examined it to make sure the flowers were still fresh and presentable. The paper towel had kept them moist, and they looked as beautiful as they had when she first picked them in the morning. Carmen noticed her daughter's careful attention to the flowers and began to suspect that Lily might have plans for them that went beyond simple appreciation of their beauty. "Lily, what are you planning to do with those flowers?" Carmen asked gently, though she was beginning to guess the answer. Lily looked up at her mother with shining eyes and a smile that revealed her innocent but determined intentions. "I'm going to give them to Elvis," Lily announced with the confidence and certainty that only a 7-year-old could possess. "He makes beautiful music, so he should have beautiful flowers." Her logic was simple but heartfelt, reflecting the generous spirit that characterized her approach to the world. Roberto and Carmen exchanged concerned glances, realizing that their daughter had developed expectations that might be impossible to fulfill. They understood the security protocols that surrounded major entertainers like Elvis, and they knew that fans were typically not allowed to approach performers during shows. However, they also recognized that Lily's intentions were pure and loving, and they didn't want to crush her enthusiasm. "Mija," Roberto said gently, "Elvis is very famous, and there are many people who want to give him things. There might be rules about getting close to the stage." He was trying to prepare her for disappointment while still honoring her generous impulses. But Lily was undeterred by her father's cautious words. In her young mind, the plan was simple and straightforward. She would wait for the right moment during the concert, approach the stage, and present her flowers to Elvis as a token of her appreciation for his music. The complexity of security protocols and crowd control measures didn't factor into her innocent understanding of how such gestures might be accomplished. Carmen tried a different approach, explaining that many other fans might have similar ideas and that Elvis might not be able to accept gifts from everyone who wanted to give them. However, Lily remained convinced that her flowers were special and that Elvis would want to receive them. Her unwavering faith in the rightness of her plan was both touching and concerning to her parents. As the lights dimmed and the crowd's excitement reached its peak, signaling that Elvis's entrance was imminent, Lily clutched her bouquet more tightly and prepared to execute her plan. Roberto and Carmen decided to let events unfold naturally, hoping that the excitement of seeing Elvis perform would distract Lily from her flower-giving mission. When Elvis appeared on stage to thunderous applause, the energy in the MGM Grand showroom reached extraordinary levels. Dressed in one of his iconic white jumpsuits with intricate beadwork that caught the stage lights like stars, Elvis commanded immediate attention from every person in the venue. His presence was magnetic, and even from their seats in the audience, the Martinez family could feel the charisma that had made him a global icon. Lily watched in fascination as Elvis began his performance, moving across the stage with the confidence and grace that had defined his career. His voice filled the massive venue with rich, powerful tones that seemed to reach every corner of the showroom, and his stage presence created an intimate connection with the audience despite the size of the crowd. As the concert progressed through Elvis's repertoire of hits, Lily found herself completely absorbed in the performance. However, her grip on her bouquet never relaxed, and her eyes constantly assessed the distance between her seat and the stage, looking for opportunities to approach Elvis with her gift. During Elvis's performance of Love Me Tender, one of Lily's favorite songs, she stood up in her seat to get a better view and to be more visible to Elvis. The song's gentle melody and romantic lyrics had always appealed to her, and hearing Elvis perform it live created an emotional response that strengthened her determination to share her flowers with him. It was during the applause following this song that Lily made her move. Without warning to her parents, who were caught up in the excitement of the performance, she slipped out of her row and began making her way toward the stage. Her small size allowed her to move relatively unnoticed through the crowd of standing, applauding fans, and her determination gave her a sense of purpose that overcame any nervousness about approaching such a famous performer. Roberto and Carmen noticed Lily's absence almost immediately and began to panic, scanning the crowd for their daughter while trying not to create a disturbance that might detract from other fans' enjoyment of the show. They could see her small figure moving toward the front of the venue, clutching her bouquet and apparently oblivious to the potential problems her approach might create. Lily managed to reach the area directly in front of the stage, where the proximity to Elvis was intoxicating for any fan but particularly overwhelming for a 7-year-old child. The stage lights were brighter here, the music was louder, and Elvis himself was just a few feet away, seeming larger than life in his elaborate costume and commanding presence. Without hesitation, Lily began to climb over the barrier that separated the audience from the stage area. Her small size and agility allowed her to navigate obstacles that might have stopped an adult, and her single-minded focus on reaching Elvis made her oblivious to the potential dangers or inappropriateness of her actions. It was at this moment that the venue's security team noticed the small intruder and moved quickly to intervene. 2 security guards approached Lily just as she was attempting to climb onto the stage itself, her bouquet still clutched carefully in one hand while she used the other to pull herself up. "Hey, little girl, you can't go up there," one of the guards said, his voice firm but not unkind. He reached out to prevent Lily from completing her climb onto the stage, gently but decisively blocking her path to Elvis. Lily looked up at the security guard with confusion and distress, unable to understand why someone would prevent her from giving Elvis her beautiful flowers. In her young mind, she was attempting to do something kind and generous, and the intervention felt like punishment for trying to spread happiness. "But I have flowers for Elvis," she protested, holding up her small bouquet as evidence of her good intentions. "They're pretty, and I picked them myself." Her voice carried the innocence and sincerity that only a child could possess, and even the security guard seemed moved by her obvious disappointment. However, protocol was protocol, and the guard explained as gently as possible that fans were not allowed on stage during performances. The safety of both Elvis and the audience required that certain boundaries be maintained, regardless of how well-intentioned any individual fan might be. As the guard continued to block her path and gently but firmly guided her away from the stage area, Lily's disappointment overwhelmed her composure, and she began to cry. The tears that followed were not just about being prevented from giving Elvis her flowers. They represented the crushing of a carefully planned gesture of love and appreciation that had seemed so simple and achievable in her young mind. The commotion created by Lily's attempt to reach the stage and her subsequent distress caught Elvis's attention despite his focus on performing. His years of experience with live audiences had given him an acute awareness of unusual situations or disturbances, and the sight of security guards dealing with what appeared to be a very young fan immediately drew his concern. From the stage, Elvis could see a small figure being escorted away from the performance area by security personnel, and even from his elevated position, he could tell that the person was a child who was clearly upset about something. His natural empathy and his particular sensitivity to children in distress triggered his immediate attention and concern. Elvis was in the middle of performing Hound Dog, one of his most energetic and crowd-pleasing numbers, but the sight of the crying child being led away by security created a conflict between his professional obligations and his personal instincts. The song continued, but his attention was divided between his performance and the situation unfolding at the edge of the stage. As Hound Dog concluded to enthusiastic applause, Elvis made a decision that surprised his band, his crew, and the entire audience. Instead of transitioning immediately into his next planned song, he walked to the edge of the stage and raised his hand to signal for quiet, indicating that he had something important to address. "Hold on just a minute, folks," Elvis said into his microphone, his voice carrying clearly throughout the venue. The audience, sensing that something unusual was happening, gradually quieted their applause and focused their attention on their performer, wondering what had prompted this unexpected interruption. Elvis's eyes scanned the area where he had seen the security incident, looking for the child who had been led away. His concern was evident in his expression, and the audience began to realize that this was not part of the planned show, but rather a genuine response to something that had captured Elvis's attention and sympathy. "I saw a little girl down here who seemed upset about something," Elvis continued, his voice gentle but clearly audible throughout the venue. "Security was just doing their job, but I'd like to know what happened. Can someone bring that little girl up here so we can talk?" The request from Elvis created an immediate stir among the venue staff and security personnel, who were accustomed to maintaining strict protocols, but now found themselves in the unprecedented situation of being asked by their headline performer to bring a fan on stage. The security guards who had been dealing with Lily looked at each other uncertainly, unsure of how to proceed. Meanwhile, Roberto and Carmen Martinez had been frantically searching for their daughter in the crowd, having lost sight of her when she disappeared toward the stage. The commotion and Elvis's announcement helped them locate her, and they rushed forward to reclaim their child, apologizing profusely to the security staff for any trouble she might have caused. When Elvis saw the family approaching with Lily, his expression softened with understanding and compassion. He could see that this was a loving family dealing with a situation created by their daughter's innocent enthusiasm, and his natural empathy was immediately engaged. "Is this your little girl?" Elvis asked Roberto and Carmen, his voice warm and reassuring. When they nodded, he continued, "Well, she seems to have something she wants to give me. I think we should let her do that, don't you?" The invitation from Elvis himself transformed the entire situation from a security issue into a special moment that would be remembered by everyone present. The guards who had been following protocol now found themselves facilitating a unique interaction between Elvis and his youngest fan. Elvis personally escorted Lily onto the stage, taking her small hand in his and helping her navigate the steps that led to the performance area. The contrast between his towering presence in his elaborate costume and her small figure in her simple blue dress created a touching visual that immediately captured the hearts of everyone in the audience. Once on stage, Elvis knelt down to Lily's eye level, demonstrating the same respect and attention he would give to any important guest. The gesture showed the entire audience that he understood the significance of this moment for Lily and that he was committed to making it special for her.
"Now then," Elvis said gently, his voice picked up by the microphone system and carried throughout the venue. "What did you want to give me?" His tone was warm and encouraging, helping Lily overcome her nervousness about being on stage in front of 18,000 people. Lily, still clutching her slightly wilted but still beautiful bouquet of wildflowers, looked up at Elvis with a mixture of awe and determination. Despite her earlier tears and the overwhelming nature of being on stage, her original mission remained clear in her young mind. She wanted to give Elvis the flowers she had carefully selected and preserved throughout the day. "I picked these flowers for you," Lily said, her voice small but clear in the sudden quiet of the venue, "because you make beautiful music, and beautiful things should go together." Her explanation was delivered with the straightforward logic that children possess, but it carried a wisdom about beauty and appreciation that resonated with everyone who heard it. Elvis accepted the bouquet with the same ceremony and respect he might show when receiving an award or honor from a head of state. He held the simple wildflowers carefully, examining them with obvious appreciation and treating them as if they were the most precious gift he had ever received. "These are absolutely beautiful, sweetheart," Elvis said, his voice carrying genuine emotion that communicated his recognition of the love and thoughtfulness behind Lily's gift. "Did you pick them yourself?" When Lily nodded proudly, he continued, "Well, they're perfect. Thank you so much for thinking of me." The exchange between Elvis and Lily created one of the most touching moments in concert history, demonstrating the power of simple human kindness to transcend the boundaries between performer and audience. The 18,000 people watching felt privileged to witness this authentic interaction between a global superstar and a 7-year-old fan. But Elvis wasn't finished with his gesture of appreciation. Recognizing that Lily had given him something precious from her heart, he wanted to reciprocate with a gift that would commemorate this special moment for her. He removed one of his signature scarves, a piece of his stage costume that fans typically treasured as priceless souvenirs, and gently placed it around Lily's neck. "This is for you to remember tonight," Elvis told her, adjusting the scarf so it fit properly around her small frame. "Every time you look at it, I want you to remember that Elvis Presley thinks you're one of the most special people in the world." The emotional impact of the gift exchange between Elvis and Lily was immediate and overwhelming for everyone in the venue. Many audience members found themselves moved to tears by the genuine sweetness of the interaction and by Elvis's obvious care for this young fan's feelings and dignity. The applause that followed was unlike any typical concert response. It wasn't applause for a song or a performance. It was recognition of a moment of pure human kindness that had unfolded before their eyes. The sustained ovation reflected the audience's appreciation, not just for Elvis's musical talents, but for his character and his ability to recognize and honor the innocent love that Lily had offered. Parents in the audience were particularly moved by the scene, imagining how they would feel if their own children had been shown such kindness and respect by someone they admired. The interaction demonstrated values of compassion, generosity, and attention to individual dignity that resonated deeply with people of all ages. Roberto and Carmen Martinez watched from the side of the stage with tears streaming down their faces, overwhelmed by the kindness Elvis had shown their daughter and by the transformation they saw in Lily herself. The shy, sometimes uncertain child had been treated like royalty by one of the most famous people in the world, and the confidence and joy this created in her was immediately apparent. Even the venue staff and security personnel who had initially been focused on maintaining protocol found themselves emotionally affected by what they had witnessed. The guards who had originally prevented Lily from reaching the stage now understood that they had been part of creating a magical moment rather than simply enforcing rules. The band members, who had performed with Elvis countless times and seen him interact with thousands of fans, later described this moment as one of the most touching displays of his character they had ever witnessed. The spontaneous nature of his response to Lily's situation and his commitment to making the moment special for her demonstrated the authentic kindness that characterized his relationship with his fans.
After ensuring that Lily was safely reunited with her parents and comfortably positioned where she could enjoy the rest of the show, Elvis returned to his performance with renewed energy and emotional depth. The interaction with Lily seemed to have reminded him of the fundamental connection between performer and audience that had always been at the heart of his appeal. The remainder of the concert was infused with an emotional warmth that elevated every song and every gesture. Elvis frequently glanced toward where Lily was sitting with her family, and his acknowledgement of her presence throughout the show helped maintain the special atmosphere that her gift had created. The songs that followed seemed to carry additional meaning, as if Elvis's encounter with pure, uncomplicated love had reminded him of why he had chosen music as his life's work. His performance of Can't Help Falling in Love later in the show was particularly moving, as many in the audience felt that the song's message of unconditional acceptance and affection had been perfectly embodied in his treatment of Lily. When Elvis performed Love Me Tender again later in the concert, he dedicated it specifically to my young friend Lily and all the children who remind us what love really means. The dedication created another emotional moment that reinforced the impact of their earlier interaction. The concert concluded with Elvis holding Lily's bouquet of wildflowers throughout his final bow, ensuring that her gift remained visible to the audience and demonstrating his continued appreciation for her thoughtfulness. The image of Elvis Presley, global superstar, holding a small bunch of wildflowers picked by a 7-year-old girl, became one of the most enduring and beloved images associated with his Las Vegas performances. The story of Lily Martinez and her flowers quickly became part of Elvis lore, shared among fans and cited as evidence of his genuine character and his authentic care for his supporters. The incident was covered by entertainment media, but the focus remained on the human interest aspect rather than sensationalizing what had been a private moment of kindness. For Lily, the experience became a defining memory that influenced her entire understanding of kindness, generosity, and the importance of following through on loving impulses. The scarf that Elvis had given her became one of her most treasured possessions, carefully preserved and displayed as a reminder of the night when her simple gesture had been received with such grace and appreciation. The Martinez family often spoke about the incident in the years that followed, using it as an example of how small acts of love and kindness could create profound connections between people. Roberto and Carmen emphasized to their daughter that Elvis's response had shown her the importance of treating all people with dignity and respect, regardless of their fame or status. The story also had an impact on the venue's security protocols and staff training. The incident prompted discussions about how to handle situations involving very young fans while maintaining safety and order, leading to more nuanced approaches that balance security needs with opportunities for meaningful fan interactions. For Elvis, the encounter with Lily represented a reminder of the innocent love and appreciation that had originally motivated his musical career. In later interviews, he occasionally referenced the incident as an example of why he continued to perform and why maintaining connections with his fans remained important to him. The story of Elvis and Lily's flowers became a powerful example of how genuine human connection could transcend the boundaries typically created by fame, status, and entertainment industry protocols. It demonstrated that meaningful interactions between performers and audiences were possible when both parties approached each other with openness and authenticity. The incident also illustrated the importance of recognizing and honoring the innocent gestures of children, whose offerings of love and appreciation often carry profound meaning despite their simplicity. Elvis's treatment of Lily's gift showed that the value of a gesture lies not in its material worth, but in the love and thoughtfulness behind it. Educational institutions and child development specialists have used the story as an example of how adults can respond appropriately to children's expressions of love and admiration, showing respect for their feelings while creating positive experiences that build confidence and self-worth. The story continues to resonate with people of all ages because it represents universal themes of kindness, appreciation, and the power of simple gestures to create lasting memories and meaningful connections. It serves as a reminder that opportunities to show compassion and grace appear in unexpected moments, and that our responses to these opportunities can have impacts far beyond what we might initially imagine. Today, the story of Lily Martinez and her wildflower bouquet remains one of the most beloved anecdotes in Elvis Presley's extensive catalog of fan interactions. It exemplifies the qualities that made him not just a great performer, but a person who understood the importance of treating every individual with dignity and respect. The incident has been featured in documentaries about Elvis's life and career, with particular emphasis on his character and his relationship with his fans. It serves as a counterbalance to some of the more sensationalized aspects of his later career, reminding audiences of the authentic kindness that characterized much of his interaction with the public. For current and future entertainers, the story provides a model of how to handle unexpected fan interactions with grace and genuine care. It demonstrates that taking time to acknowledge and appreciate fans' expressions of love can create moments of profound meaning that enhance rather than detract from professional performances. The wildflowers that Lily picked that day in Las Vegas were simple and unpretentious, but they became part of one of the most touching moments in entertainment history. Their story continues to remind us that the most meaningful gifts are often those that come from the heart, and that the way we receive such gifts says as much about our character as the gestures themselves. In a world where celebrity fan interactions are often mediated by technology and professional handlers, the story of Elvis and Lily's flowers serves as a reminder of the power of direct human connection and the importance of remaining open to the simple expressions of love that surround us every day.